Hi everyone, it is Victoria, the Soul Nurturer, here with another transformational topic for you that I think is really relevant to a lot of us. If you're drawn to my channel, I'm talking to you, then I'm probably talking to an empath or a highly sensitive person. You're my people. I got you. Truly all of us are in an extreme time right now, and whether you identify as an empath or a highly sensitive person, you're still feeling it, aren't you? There's a lot going on, and really right now we need to lean into our self-care tools. We need to learn to connect with ourselves, to really check in, to notice how our body's doing, how our energy is doing, how, as I like to say, our wells are, how full our wells are. Our energy can be pulled outward so much because there is so much going on. So my topic today for all of us empaths and highly sensitive people is this. It's a quote I heard about 6 months ago. I have yet to track down the origin of it, but I absolutely love it and it's spot on. So if you know the origin of this quote, please do comment below, let me know. But it is this. It's a quote, but really it's advice, it's a reference, it's a way of thinking and being as an empath that's going to help us navigate this moment in time and any moment in time. You know, we're, as empaths, can walk into a room and feel into the emotional climate. Well, right now we're feeling into the emotional climate of the collective in the world. I mean, truly, how amazing. We're all of us in the world are affected by this, right? We truly, more than ever, are being reminded that we are all connected. The web of life, that my choices, my thoughts, my way of being is either contributing or contaminating all of us. So that's why I'm calling everyone to this opportunity, to embrace it as an opportunity, to be the reference of the microcosm of the macrocosm, to do the work that we can do, we must do, which is our inner work, our soul work, that will contribute to the collective. We can't get out there and change the world and change everything, but we can change this and then start from there and see then what our personal mission and purpose is from there. I'm going off on another tangent. Anyway, I love that topic too. So here is the reference, and I'm getting cozy in my chair. I'm getting ready to really bring it. Here it is. The guidance is to observe, not absorb. Okay? Genius, right? And when I was first sharing this topic to someone, one of my clients actually about that 6 months ago, she said, how do you do that? And maybe it's taken me 6 months now to really think about it, sit with it, and practice it myself, because it's easier said than done, right? We are so sensitive. We're feeling into everything. And so here's what I'm going to say about it. So the distinction, observing, becoming the witness, being aware, like watching a movie, right? Even as sensitive people and like us, empaths, if you identify as this, this is some of the characteristics are, very empathetic. We can feel what other people are feeling. We are really very acutely aware of other people's energy. We're very sensitive to tonality, to the way people express things, and we can notice more about what they're saying, the undercurrent. It's like, our intuition is so strong. Someone might be saying something, but we're feeling and getting at that deeper message underneath it. I often say, empaths, the good news is we feel and know everything. The bad news is we feel and know everything, right? And you understand what I mean. So observing is really a practice. Before we are able to observe and just witness is another way of saying it, being that objective witnesser, just like watching a movie. It's out here and we're not bringing it in here, okay? And even if we are watching a movie, I really have to watch the movies, not watch the movies. I have to carefully select movies I'm going to watch. This is an ongoing conversation with my husband, who is a protector and he's a martial arts guru, and his tastes in movies obviously are a little different than mine. And when we take turns picking movies, if he picks a movie that I can already feel into, is going to be a little, might be a little challenging, might be much for me. I will have to go through a whole process of preparing to do that, grounding, getting in my bubble of light, my cocoon, so I can have that further sort of support and observing and not absorbing. Gosh, say that 3 times, will ya? Observing, not absorbing. I can't even say it once, so forget it. Anyway, so here's where we need to start. Here's where we need to start with everything we are about to do, not just as empaths, but as human beings, especially women, because we're so conditioned, we're so even wired in, you know, that to be the caretakers, to be the ones looking out on the external to see, are there any needs that we need to meet? Does anyone need help? We are, you know, just we're natural caretakers and naturally empathetic. So before we let our energy kind of float on out there to help someone else, I call it stepping over ourselves to be of support to others, we need to stop and be with this person in the mirror. You know, it's good if you can to put a little note on your mirror that says something like, you know, I commit to supporting the person in the mirror, or the person I'm looking at right now, I will be supporting today. However you want to phrase it. The point is to agree and commit to connecting to yourself, to honoring yourself with your own compassion and acceptance and love, right? To no longer skip over yourself. Now, I'm speaking from, not just from something I read in a book, a self-care book. This is hard-earned wisdom. I say that, you know, when we live our lives, we can learn the lesson and then we earn the wisdom. Lessons learned is wisdom earned. So my wisdom well has, you know, this experience that I have learned over and over again. And I had a very intense time of this particular lesson. You know, when we don't get the lesson, it comes around again and until we pass that particular test. And it was about completely neglecting and not honoring my own needs. It became a very, you know, I became acutely aware of it when I was working for hospice, which I loved working for hospice, and I loved being a grief counselor. And however, at the time of my life when I was doing it, this lesson needed to come, and it did come so big, how much I was neglecting myself. My own grief was rising. My own self-care was compromised. And I was beginning to absorb, boy, this is going to be tricky, rather just than being in that observational state, the objective observer, the clinician, really. So, I call myself out on that. I recognize, I see what happened, and it took me, you know, a while to get the message. I actually had some health issues that really alarmed me. They were very scary. I had a lump in my throat that appeared, it seemed like nowhere, but it's kind of like that old story of the pebble. You know, you get the pebble from your soul to wake you up, to get out of your stuck places, to get a message to you, and we will often deny that first message. No, I'm good here. And then it becomes the brick. I think I've heard Oprah speak of this many, many times, but I hear lots of people use this analogy. Then it's a brick, hurts a little bit more, but still we might be inclined to ignore it, deny it, and keep in that same old pattern, that way of being that is comfortable and familiar, even though it's uncomfortable and it can cause pain, but we're stuck in that rut. And then it's the 2x4, you know, and it just gets bigger from there. Well, this was me working at hospice, knowing how sensitive I was, knowing that I was an empath, and knowing that I had some old grief churning from long ago, but I kept denying it. This is what we do oftentimes. It can be confusing as empaths. Is this mine? Is this everybody else's? Whose is it? And pretty soon we're just overly absorbed in all of this emotional content, and it's confusing, it's painful, and then our body takes on the task of digesting it, and in some cases unable to digest it, creating pain or physical discomfort or sometimes health issues. I want to say a little disclaimer that I personally do not believe that every single physical issue is caused by unfinished business. I really don't. I know a lot of people have that belief. I think it's someplace to look. It's some place to be willing to see something we're missing in our blind spots, behaviorally, attitudinally, our thoughts. But I don't like that blaming the victim philosophy that I see and hear a lot, you know. Especially, yeah, I'm going off on another tangent. Come back, Victoria. So noticing where we are, where our energy is. And again, I learned the hard way this vital message that I'm working and writing this book about. And it is this, that we must learn the distinction between service and sacrifice. Service is, yes, we are at a capacity where we can give and support others. Sacrifice means we've checked out and we're just going to just give anything that we have, even if it's something we need first. Okay? There's so much more about service and sacrifice, but I want to say that it is connected to this idea of just being in observation mode and not observing. This is going to be tricky. O or A, observe or absorb. Absorb. Oh, this is, okay, maybe I'm bringing some levity because this is a heavy conversation. I'm going to keep going. You know, that's my style. It's my pattern. It's my philosophy. Real life happens in real time. We don't stop and edit and polish up our message. It just comes as it comes, and that's just the way it is. I often say I'll never be a polished speaker. I'm just going to be me bringing a message that hopefully helps polish your soul into higher awareness. So, okay, so here's where we start. It is that connection to self. Very much so, that awareness right now. In fact, let's just take a moment, take a breath, and let's breathe into our body and just notice. I did this before I started the video, just where I was, and oftentimes I'll do this in the middle of the day, and I'll tell you, and maybe you can notice, you know, I'll feel like my energy is way out here, right? And where we need our energy to be able to just observe what's happening is within us, to stay in contact here. So yeah, I'm really feeling myself in my body, embodied, connected here. That's good. But it's very easy as empaths to feel like we're here, and then suddenly we're out here in the world, in the news, and our friend's story, and all that's going on, you know, with this virus, and our concerns for people, the, you know, the elderly, the immune compromised people, the nurses, the doctors, the hospitals, the world. So even just saying that, I could notice going out, right? So staying within, staying here in contact, and being able to practice presence, and that witnessing ourselves and staying with ourselves like we're connected to a good friend, a best friend, or, you know, our inner child is another way to reference that. If I literally had a little 5-year-old sitting next to me, I would be mindful of what I was talking about, how I was talking about it. I wouldn't want to alarm her. I would want to help keep her calm and safe and trusting. Well, that's another way to think about as empaths and people in general. The inner child within reminds us that, yes, this energy called the inner child is always present to us. Are we alarming ourselves? Are we neglecting ourselves? Are we stepping over ourselves? Are we stirring the pot up and stressing ourselves up? Not setting boundaries, you know? Again, if I had a little 5-year-old here, there are certain things I wouldn't let her be present to, or, you know, make sure she was safe, so that me, the adult, can navigate what is, or deal with whatever is in the world. Okay, I hope that makes sense. I don't know, I just kind of went off. I'm in tangent land today, like just following whatever flows. So I hope you can follow me. So the key to be able to observe is to be in contact here, to be settled into our own safe shelter called our mind-body experience. I like to use the metaphor that our mind-body experience is the home we live in. So we can settle in and make ourselves comfortable and cozy inside of our own home. Then we can look out the windows, right? And there's this barrier between what we're watching, you know? So it's important to notice, how is your home? Is it cluttered with stress thoughts? Is it full of fear and stories and beliefs from the past that keep you in that anxious state? You know, anxiety and fear are connected to the past or the future. You know, fear of what will happen, anxiety about maybe it'll happen in the same way that it happened in the past. So we have the ability to go within and check, how much fear am I carrying? Am I in and, you know, feeling anxious? What am I telling myself about that? And what do I want and need instead? So again, that very simple tool I often talk about, putting your hand over your heart, make that connection. How's my energy? Where is my energy? And what's inside this container called my body, my mind, my system, this home my soul lives in? And what do I want to hold instead? And so here's where we can do a clearing process. You know, the simple one I use all the time is just bringing in white light. You can imagine that as grace, as God's healing, sunlight, whatever works for you. But just imagining it moving through, dissolving all fear, or focusing on the energy of love or faith. Bring that energy in, dissolving the fear, and letting every cell of your body saturate in the energy of what you want to hold you. Love, even joy, faith, okay? I often refer to that quote. It's not a direct quote. It was in a presentation or a sermon that Martin Luther King Jr. once gave, where he talked about being the thermostat, not the temperature. So one thing we can control when we practice is this inner environment, okay? So we got to get to that, not only baseline, but above baseline, where we're really shored up. We really feel supported on the inner. We feel connected. We feel protected. You know, I imagine that light surrounding us like a cocoon of light. And since our personal space is often compromised, right now we are, you know, staying away from people, sheltering in place. And when, for those of you who are going out and about, keeping that 6 feet of distance, well, we all have 3 feet of personal space around us that we need to protect and be aware of, and that could easily be compromised. I think empaths are maybe just a couple of inches, really. You know how when you're in an elevator and you can really feel everybody's energy? So that's that personal space. So I like to imagine the light going around the cocoon of light, at least 3 feet around, if not more, and then above and then below. And then the next thing to do is to ground. Grounding, I'm sure you've heard that term. When we think of grounding, we think of rooting into the earth. Think about trees dropping their roots into the earth, so that we're solid in our being. We're grounded, we're regulated, we're feeling secure and held, okay? So grounding is another technique. You could Google that. There's tons of meditations out there about grounding. You know, so protecting your personal space, getting that cocoon, that light, that supportive energy, deciding what we want to hold on the inner, that thermostat, setting it on safety, secure, whatever you need to fill you up, so that when you're looking outside of your windows of your house, your home, that your soul lives in, you are just, you know, you've got that nice safe barrier, okay? That is where we can just observe it, what's happening out there, and not be so triggered or affected by it, not absorbing it. Now, that said, having your own self-care hygiene, I always say this, you are the expert of you. You know your body, you know your energy, you know your needs better than anyone. At least you should. You need to. Didn't mean to should on you, but we all need to know what our own personal needs are for our own well-being. We are all unique and different. What I need is different than what you need. You know, we're so alike and similar in that we're having a human experience. We're all human beings. We're going to have some collective things that are the same, but mostly we need to know ourselves so we know what we need. Knowing how to assess our needs helps us get those needs met. The more we get our needs met in a healthy, functional way, the better we feel. Okay, so that's that first step of just shoring yourself up, preparing this cozy home on the inner to witness what's going on the external. And then even doing all of that, I'm watching the time because I know my camera will cut off at 30 minutes. So watching your energy, filling up your well, that's the other place. Empaths can absorb more if your own well isn't filled. And what do I mean by that? Watching, again, self-care, how our sleep, making sure we're getting enough sleep, that we're eating well, we're drinking lots of water. We're just taking care of this vessel. And filling up the well too is filling up with those things that inspire you, support you, keep you tethered into something that's going to hold you, like hope, your faith, supportive material, music, books, quotes, whatever fills your well, okay? So we need to have a full well to be able to just observe. Otherwise, yeah, there's space for that energy to fill into your own well, and then now your well is tainted. You don't know what you've pulled in, right? So, okay, so that's one. Now, that all said, we can do all of these beautiful self-care hygiene type things for our empath being, just in life as sensitive beings. But yeah, you know what? Even the best protocol, we may absorb something, okay? So what does that feel like? And that again is just like, what did I pick up? You know, a sponge nature. We may feel heavier than normal. We may feel a little more weepy, and we check in. There's nothing going on personally. I picked somebody else's stuff up. Okay, that's okay. Notice it. Make a choice about it. I call it the ABCs of transformation. Awareness before choice, right? So, yeah, I notice I'm heavier. I know this isn't mine. I'm pretty sure it's not mine. It might be some old subconscious material. You might want to journal. What is this about? Do a question in your journal. What does my soul want me to know about this feeling, this heaviness? What do I need to do about it? We want to stay out of the why questions, because why questions can open us up and take us down all kinds of rabbit holes and stuff. It's important to move in the direction, at least I believe. I'm a, transformational hypnotherapist that likes to move in the direction of where we want to go, visioning and positive possibilities in the future. So how and what, okay? What do I need to know is an important question, especially when journaling. And then you're clear, it's not my stuff, or maybe it was some of your stuff, you worked it out and you're still feeling heavy. Oh, okay, there's more. So this is, again, doing another clearing with the light or a releasing process. You can write down what you're feeling, burn it, shred it. One of my releasing processes is lighting a candle and just inviting God to just clear me of anything I'm holding that's not mine, and I surrender it to God and say, this is not my business, and I can't do anything about it, so I'm going to surrender it to you, trusting and knowing that this person, this issue will be resolved, will be helped, will be taken care of. So taking a bath is another good way of releasing. So there's a bunch of ways to help yourself facilitate absorbing something. So I want to give you this beautiful tip, and that is to go get yourself, if you identify with being an empath, one of your books that you need in your self-care, one of your self-care books you need, stumbling through words today, is Judith Orloff's book called The Empaths Survival Guide. When I work with a client and we identify, yep, they are an empath, I recommend this book right away. Lots of good tools. I recommend you get it on audio as well, because she takes you through some wonderful meditations. Okay, so that said, find your own tools. What would help you? What would help you if you're telling, your best friend, what would you say to your best friend? Take it for yourself so you can befriend yourself, support yourself, and love yourself forward through this very bumpy time, being connected, being present, being willing to support yourself as much as you would someone else. I think that is the big message most of us are getting right now on this collective timeout. What are we meant to learn? What are we meant to do differently? What are we meant to finally practice in a way of being that allows us to bring who we truly are, to be our authentic selves, to bring, I like to call it our soul medicine, that special, unique blend of what we have been cultivating through our entire life that we give to others that we need. That right there is the key. We can't step over ourselves right now, not only because we need to stay in this place of self-care and self-support, but because we can no longer avoid what we need to look at in terms of transformation. Our inner work is calling us. It's time to wake up and do our inner work, to clock in for our own inner work, to be willing to again, remember, we're the individual in the collective, and as we do our own inner work, we're contributing to the collective. Okay, so that's all I think I have for you today. And let me know if you have any questions about this. And I think I was going to do at the end of this little meditation, I think I'll do it separately because we're running out of time here. So let's not run out of time for this very unique time of being on quarantine, of being asked to just be with yourself truly and your families, but really the real call, that soul call, is to be with yourself with new eyes, fresh perspective, to transform what you can, what only we can individually transform, to contribute to the collective. Okay, make sure you're not in anybody else's business, that you didn't absorb. I'm not going to say this word anymore. You didn't absorb. Oh gosh, I hope, you know what, here, we can make this a drinking your tea game every time I say the wrong word, or adult beverage. Have a drink with me. That, you know, just notice that. Do your personal hygiene, clear that stuff out, and be with yourself and do your inner work. Commit to you during this time. I wanted to also say it's important to set boundaries. Boundaries are very, very important, not just boundaries where maybe you're not speaking to people that are a little bit more challenging for you at this time, or maybe you're just speaking to them from your heart and soul, but boundaries of energy too. Notice your energy well. Is it drained? Do you need to fill up? Set a boundary so that you can fill back up. Okay, that's about all I have for you. One last thing. Oh, I remembered my little heart necklace. This here, I wear heart necklaces or reminders, or sometimes I'll carry a stone to remember to take care of my own heart before I want to go out and take care of everybody else. That old saying, put your own oxygen mask on first before you help someone else. Well, connect to your own heart first before you give from your heart. Okay, that's all I have for now. I think we're just gonna wrap up here. Stay connected to this YouTube channel and subscribe if you haven't already. Click on the bell if you haven't already, so you'll get automatic uploads. Okay, we're all in this together. Let's support one another, but first let's support the one we see in the mirror every day. Okay, so that's it. Peace out and love in. Take good care of you. Until next time.